seconds, 5 minutes, 5 hours?
Now.
5 Oli time
Mississippi.
units.
4 Mississippi. 3 Mississippi.
An Oli
Oli
time unit can
is
be any time between 6 seconds and 30 seconds.
Good call. The only way we can't call you on it.
Alrighty. Rakath.
Yeah.
There's a body with a golden gleaming sword jammed into it. It's also of note that his body is like plastered to a slab of rubble that is clearly from a chunk of the high city. You can see the finery of the wall carvings and stuff.
So this is a priestess of some repute. I can gather that from robes.
If they were in the high city, they were.
Fair. Golden sword being plunged into the chest seems very fucking directed, though. Is there any insight check I can make for this to see if I can gather any more information about importance?
Sure.
Is that a possibility?
Religion check, I guess, actually is a bit more important here.
They're the same roll. I don't know why I got upset with that one. It's the same.
It is strange.
If this is the body of the daimyo, I'm gonna feel real bad about pulling.
You would recognize that.
I didn't know if I would because I've never seen her, but
you would recognize the importance, right? This is
Fair.
not someone wearing
good
Mastercraft. Stuff
in
like
that case.
You've
I don't
seen
have any
the daimyo
problem.
drawn everywhere. You know?
I'm gonna pull the blade out, but slowly and carefully, and making sure not to disrupt the body as much as possible.
The blade is really heavy.
Ooh,
was a lot deeper into the body and the stone than it looked. It ends up being like almost a heavier bastard sword. Very broad in some places. The actual finery on the blade is almost overtly ornate. And yeah, it kind of hurts your eyes to look at it. It's gleaming so bright in light that isn't quite there.
Well, isn't that interesting?
Well, I'm going to put that on my back for now. I'm going to. I'm assuming that wound is probably what killed this person. I'm not even going to make a medicine check on it. I'm just going to accept that seems
It went
logical.
all the way in and out through them into the stone.
Yes. So I'm going to go ahead and make that assumption.
Good one.
Now that I've unpinned them from the stone, I guess I'm going to pick them up.
You have to peel them off
Yeah,
the stone.
I'm going to do it very carefully, and I'm going to actually do it with a little bit of. I have the blanket that I covered the coated mirror with still, and I'm actually it's more of a sheet, but even still, like it's a fine sheet, so I'm actually going to cover that over the back, especially to not show that. But I'm also going to put a layer of just traveler's clothes between it, just so that any blood that soaks through into the clothes, not into the sheet, so that when I carry them in the sheet, it isn't a bloody mess. Essentially just taking every precaution to be courteous to the people that are going to see this body as much as possible. And I'm going to carry it in just, like this, and I'm going to walk back to Kato.
Yeah, you do. This doesn't draw a lot of heads. The sword does. The body doesn't. When you return, Kato will kind of walk towards one of the buildings. Was a shop of some kind, but the space has been opened up and just kind of taps the counter of stone.
Yeah. I'm going to place her down, and I'm going to unwrap the sheet actually first, and I'm going to take the, now I'm assuming blood-soaked clothes out.
Not that bloody.
Oh, that's good.
Blood, but not a lot of blood.
Well, they're not, she's not actively bleeding, but it's just what would have soaked out, I guess, because I was carrying her. Okay, I'm going to place her down.
There's some seepage.
I'm going to place her down, and I'm just going to look to Kato. and I'm just going to cross my arms and say,
This was in her. Well into the stone behind her, too.
Are you familiar of the legend of our race's origin, Rakath?
am I familiar with the
Religion
legend of the-
roll!
Alrighty.
But not considering your previous roll, probably not.
No! No, I'm not. I was never told it.
Once, aeons ago, when the world above was beset by wars, unimaginable enemies, said that the sun and moon created warriors to protect people. They did not go to the lengths necessary to cause real peace, to secure real freedoms. Our queen, Idrith, wanted to go the extra step that would assure freedom and peace for all races on this world. And she was cast out for it by the sun and the moon. A race of sun elves are told as boogeymen that come from the surface gleaming gold. And yet you carry one of their swords on your back.
I assume that would be the Golden Devil, then.
The Golden Devil was one. Daimao had an interest in him, sent assassins. He was different, but all of them are it is a race dying. All of them left are in their twilight years, but still hold the power of the sun. Power which is quite searing in this world.
And this is a blade from them.
That or a very good imitation.
Given that it hurt my eyes to look at.
I think we can no longer bank on... I don't remember the word. Not conspiracies. There's a similar word. Coincidences. No longer bank on coincidences.
I take the sword off and I put... There's probably at least one other table in here. Throw the sheet onto that table. Put the blade in the sheet. Wrap the traveler's clothes around it first, so that because they're dark traveler's clothes because they're mine, so they're big. I don't have clothes anymore. That's okay. Anyways, I'm gonna wrap the blade in those clothes, and then wrap the sheet around it, and then put it back on my back. And hopefully, it's hiding some of the light that. Was
absolutely. It wasn't creating that much.
It was just kind
light.
of glinting, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Perfect.
No need to cause any more of a ruckus with it.
Yes, that information will stay between us and Deveskos for now. But if that was the case, it means that our ancient enemy has returned. The Daimao, Lithura, was to bring the fight to them, to their city on the surface, where the last of their kind lived. That was her goal in life. That's why she was pushing a war once the dragon that blocked our path was vanquished.
The dragon that blocks our path. That's a phrase I've heard at least once before. Thought it was legend.
There was, quite factually, a dragon that blocked the easiest passage to the surface from Narashiro. There were other ways up above, ways the blue-eyed cult uses, ways the deep dwarves have secured, and ways far beyond even the Ebimari's realm. But we could not send an entire army that far. The only people we sent so far were scouts, assassins. They caused chaos. They destroyed music halls. But Lithura was... She was building, with all the Aether, a way to destroy Thundral, the City of the Sun, before the war even truly began. And she just looks up for a hole in the wall, but
Yeah.
at the crater, which crater is still glowing slightly. Energy crackles.
Look what one assassin did. He was with friends, I assume. Not just one lone assassin.
People like that always travel in groups of 4 or 5.
There's always something about groups of 4 or 5, isn't there?
She shrugs quite heavily.
Realistically, we don't have that same option if a dragon is blocking our path. To send just a meager assassin or a group of assassins up. But if the Ebimari have ways up, they are infiltrators.
There is no dragon anymore. The way to Thundral is clear. It is long, and it is as clear as any path in the Underdark is. I would make
So
a bet
moderately.
if your party ventured forth, you would most likely make it to the surface. I would not recommend it. I need you here.
We can't leave here. This is our home. Yuna is needed here. You are needed here. The two of you are going to be instrumental to making sure that nothing else befalls this city. She can see and give guidance, and you can command strength. I can provide information. Rofi can provide tools. Voss, believe it or not, is quite good at gathering forces. And he can help too. This city is our home, Kato. We are not going anywhere. You do not have to worry about that. Our other piece of business. I'm going to speak more quietly to ensure that it is just you and I hearing that.
And I put my hand on her shoulder again, just to mimic exactly what I did last time, just to not really give her any indication as to what I'm actually doing or how I'm doing this. I'm going to just speak again into her mind and say,
She was going for the city wall, past the manufacturing district. Impossible for me to follow at that point. She has the amulet.
Any research of that amulet, any crafting notes would have been destroyed in that explosion. The only way
Yes.
to know what it does is to have it. Or see into the future.
Yes. Unless someone, and I look to the table,
and this is again, I'm speaking in just into her mind.
unless someone happens to have information on it. Perhaps a priestess who might know a little bit more.
This is not our primary concern.
No,
If
it
it is
isn't.
the creatures from the surface, or our protector turned monster, we defend the people just the same.
What do you need from me?
And that is said out loud.
You go and rest. I would rather you here with Yuna in the morning and your party. See if Voss can muster more defenses. What I have here can hold but it can't retake this city. Especially if the solar elves are attacking.
Voss, I'm sure, is already gathering forces. It's in his nature. He knows what to do. I will speak with him. And I'll speak to those I know at the Torturer's Tavern. They were with some of the groups down below, and I have allies. It is how I got people to sign that petition in the first place. They look to me, I may be able to sway. Voss, he has middle class, guards who don't necessarily fall into your ranks. They'll look to him. You have this district. Hold it, and again, be vigilant, please.
She nods and lets you go on your way.
Mm-hmm.
Which is when we look to what Voss has been doing. Which, when we left you had your school, which isn't that large a building, but has a bit of land around it, was mostly safe. You have all the herbalist district kind of conforming there. Which actually means you're pretty good for like food and medicine.
Yeah, I was.
Which is good because it's one of the worst hit areas.
Yeah, just have people organized, like getting food to people who need it. Have herbalists who are in okay condition, like applying salves, that kind of thing. Like just basically organizing into like people who just need a place to be right now, and people who are actually hurt and like need help, and then the people who are capable of helping them, essentially. So question for you, in this group of people, or this mass of people, I should say, I imagine there are probably a lot of slaves.
Some, but not a huge amount. This district doesn't have the hugest amount of slaves. The ones that do are, tending to plants in greenhouses. But there's some. 15% of the people here or something,
Sure.
Quite small amount, but still some.
Cool. So once everything's kind of like flowing, people know what they're doing, people are helping people who need help, all that stuff. I'm just going to find like, I don't know, I guess in the courtyard of the school, like on the steps going into the actual structure, just basically find a place that I can stand where I can like address the majority.
You have
of
the rock
here.
with the...
Oh yeah, that's right, with the
guides.
tenets of the school literally like carved into it. Yeah, so I'll stand over there and just like get everyone's attention in some way. I imagine just by like
Clearing your
yelling
throat loudly.
Yeah. Yeah, and once everyone stops what they're doing, is kind of paying attention, I'll just begin to address this mass of people and just say, listen, a great blow has been dealt to our people, to our society. But we are resilient. We must look at this as an opportunity. And as I'm saying this, I'm going to go to like the nearest person who is a slave and has like some kind of collar.
Yeah.
And just wrench it off of them.
That's gonna hurt.
Yeah. But I'm going to remove it.
Yeah. No, you can. It's just...
Yeah. And just say, and like hold up the collar and just say, this needs to stop. The only way that we survive as a people is to band together. We face threats from all sides, below and above, from every conceivable direction. If we wish to survive as a people, we must all be equal. Clearly, the gods of the past have failed us. Look, and I just point to what was once the place where the high city
And there's still
is.
magic flowing there between the crater.
And I'll just say, I don't know who is responsible for this, whether it be sun elves or some other type of degeneracy that seeks to destroy us, but the only reason this was able to happen was because of our own failures. So while we will recover from this, we must do so in a way that involves us banding together and surviving. And from what is left of our people, we will come back stronger with a vengeance. This will not go unanswered. But for right now, what I need is everyone who is capable of fighting to prepare yourselves, because there will be bloodshed. It is only a matter of whether we work together and survive or fall to our own hubris.
There's a definite murmuring amongst the people. A lot of people straight up leave. But not everyone. You said a lot of controversial stuff.
Oh, yeah.
So a lot of people straight up leave, but they don't straight up fight you. But you're still left with a sizable group. When you approach, assuming you were going to Voss's place, Rakath, when you approach, people are leaving. Not all of them, but you pass, groups who are muttering about degeneracy. In times like this, we need to band under the Queen and stuff like that. But
Do you have everything you need?
I say to them as they're leaving.
they just kind of look at you with some disgust and
Do you have sufficiency? Do you have everything you need?
I don't really give you the time of day.
Yeah.
But you can get to Voss's, and there's still, 150 people.
Yeah, and I'm literally just not saying anything. I'm just standing there, arms crossed, just watching to see who's gonna stay.
And I walk up behind you, Voss. Not trying to sneak up on you or anything, but I'm not loud either. But I put my hand on.
I will say, Kikiwa would have come back at some point.
Mm-hmm.
She didn't die. Just this was not the most important place to be when the city's collapsing.
Yeah.
But she does come back and
Well, that's good.
kind of helps guide people around and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Please.
How goes it?
About as well as expected.
This is the first time you're going to experience this, because I'm going to speak into your mind for a moment
Sweet.
without saying anything.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to say to you,
Are you doing what I think you're doing?
I'll just look to you and then say, I guess that depends on what you think I'm doing. Also, how are you doing that?
How am I doing what?
Don't worry about it.
Okay. I was trying to whisper to you. Did that work okay?
Well, you didn't open your mouth, but I still heard you, so that means
I'm sorry,
guess
I didn't
it
what
did.
now?
You didn't open your mouth, but I still heard you, so I guess, yes, it worked.
Why are you shouting now? This is defeating the purpose of the original whisper.
Anyways.
and again, without moving my mouth at all,
Are you trying to start a further rebellion?
No. I am merely trying to erase the possibility of a rebellion. But I will not see Drow society rebuild itself the same way it has time and time again, only to fall victim to the same flaws that we seem to placate ourselves with.
Rakath just nods at you and then just says,
You need to control the mid-city as much as possible. If you have forces, there's control that needs to be had.
And I'll just gesture to whoever's here and just say, we have the beginnings of forces.
It's not a rush. but we have things to do. I need to go to the lower city to try and quell anything down there. And then we need to rest. Because we're going to have a lot of work to do tomorrow.
This is true. We have lots of work to do today as well.
Yes, we do. But if we exhaust ourselves, we won't be doing any of it.
This is true.
You should ready these people as much as possible.
That is what I intend to do.
Readying also means resting and allowing them to do so as well.
Of course.
Good. I'm just making sure that you're going to take care of yourself, Voss. I worry sometimes.
When have I ever not taken care of myself, Rakath?
There's just this twinkle in your eye. Something's different. You're happier.
And he just pats you on the chest and walks out.
I'll just say to him as he leaves, I am a little miffed that my wedding is going to be delayed, but I guess there's no helping that.
I don't see why it needs to be delayed.
That's a good point.
I'm walking. I'm gonna.
Okay.
I'm going to the Torturer's Tavern. I'm not going home.
Torturer's Tavern is, again, this is where a group of people hang out, so it's become a little bit of a shelter. Not as busy as any of the others. People here are just kind of drinking, eating. Less alarm, but there's people here just to kind of chill to a fault. So
I basically want to see. Do I recognize anybody in there?
Yeah, most of the regulars are here.
Basically, what I'm going to try and do is I'm going to try and send people out to go and grab their friends from whatever groups they've been congregating around. Try and just bring everybody in. I just want to have a conversation about what's happening here. It's nothing, it's mostly just to get an assessment of what's happening, and I want to just try and draw in as many people as I can. And I'm going to send out as many people as I can to do so, and I'm going to give gold to do so. I'm going to hand out a total of 100 gold to get as many people out into the streets and making that happen.
That's
just to get people going.
Good. We don't need to go over all of that because you pretty much just have.
Yes.
So we will swoosh forward to tomorrow. The city is quiet. The streets outside of the little pockets of congregation are very quiet, like leaves rustling and papers blowing through kind of thing. Still coated in ash, but the kind of ash has mostly stopped flowing. And of course, well, let's set the situation, all right, for your note pages. We have Cato at the highest point of the city, where the highest nobility currently alive reside. She has the largest group of priestesses and soldiers possible, though mostly guard rather than real soldiers. And she has, a pretty, she has a big operation going on there. We have Voss, very small group, but what you do have, you probably have like a dozen soldiers. You have a lot of herbalists and witches. You have some spellcasters. Torturous Tavern, a small group, but most of them, this is your subterfuge faction. You need to... And subterfuge not even as in, sneaking, as in, you have a very specific task to get done. Sending something into another area. Absolutely. So, it's one of those things where not that many people, but everyone is useful. Then there's small pockets at most of the gates. They're usually being run by, the city guard who run the gate. They're not really allied to anyone right now. They're kind of allied to the city. if we're going faction game, you have the Slave Rebellion, which may or may not be linked to the Reavers. There's kind of different pockets and bubbles of it forming and petering out in the sort of manufactory, farming, housing, all that sort of places around a torturous tavern. Chitines, in the deepest parts of the city, rising upwards like hot air. And I think that's mostly it. As you know, you're kind of gathering information, Rakath, and Voss as well. And, you know, all of you would get this information one way or another. The Palace Arcanum, big campus, mostly fine, kind of closed themselves off, doing their own thing, probably for the best. So they're kind of their own little faction. And Rakath mostly, but Voss would hear of this as well. The Slave Keepers Guild. Can you both give me history checks?
Sure.
I can. I can't tell you how well
acting
it's gonna
in
do.
the city. You haven't heard of them before, Rakath, which is kind of almost a surprise. But Voss has. Rumored to be almost a shadowy guild that almost ran the city from behind the scenes. Because what has apparently been happening in some places, almost like a private militia has been entering some parts of the city and quelling the slave riots with force and however they need to do it. There's less information about that because they are almost like strike teams entering the city, doing something. And it's only really rumors that it's the Slave Keepers Guild because no one really knows a whole lot about it. Aside from, you know, this is the kind of thing Draco would probably know a lot about, actually.
Yeah.
But they are definitely a player in the city right now. And I think, unless you can tell me something else that I've clearly forgotten, that's mostly it. Oh! The High Church, which is actually deep in the city. Kind of the same layer where the manufactory districts and stuff are. That's all infighting and chaos. The like actual true church is self-destructing. Now a lot of priestesses and people are going off to do other things.
That's good.
But like the official organization is just eating each other alive, and considering the amount of spiders there, almost literally. It's also so disconnected from the rest of the city. Even if Kato probably wanted to be joined with that faction, they kind of can't just because of the geometry.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's everyone.
Cool.
And with that
Okay.
exposition dump, as I often seem to do, I'm going to end the episode there. A bunch
Yeah.
of information for you to think on for next time. As factions are making stand in a somewhat broken city. It's not as broken as it could be, but of course, slave rebellions make all resources fall flat in a city like this. But we'll worry about that next week. Here. Next week's will be a little bit weird because that's actually when the clocks change.
Right.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I might be a little out of it. Fuck me, right? But other than that, that's all this. I don't really have anything exciting to say. Why don't you guys talk about yourselves? Starting with Daddy Voss.
Yo, what up? What up, Twitch.tv? It's your boy. Yeah, I have a YouTube channel, Dungeon Dad. You can find me there. I just put out a video like a couple hours before this aired about a gross monster made of eyeballs. So check that out. Super cool, super great, super fun. Yeah. I make videos about D&D monsters. I make stat blocks for them. You can find me on YouTube. You can follow me on Twitter. I was going to say Twitch. I don't do that. You can follow me on Twitter if you want that's me.
Next is Aaron.
Hi, I'm Aaron. You can find me here on Sundays and on Ollie's Discord. Ask me all of your D&D questions. I love them.
The link is down below.
And I'll see you guys next week.
Tash.
Hi, I'm Tash of the Tash Tube. You can follow me under that name on YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. You should follow my Twitter because I post cute animal gifs and keep you up to date about all the things I'm doing. And you follow my Twitch if you like any kind of looter shooter or RPGs and such. You should follow me there.
And last and most certainly least is Will Graham.
Hi, I'm Will. You can find me pretty much anywhere as at Will and Graham. Got some cool stuff coming up in the future. Gonna have some announcements probably in the next couple of weeks. Don't know exactly when those are gonna be, but they're exciting. They involve both Ollie and Josiah, so stay tuned for those. And you should follow all of us on Twitter just in case one of us decides to post more information than we should. And, you know, we'll see what happens. But yeah, apart from that, I don't really have anything too exciting going on other than, you know, apparently we're trying to figure out what's happening in a city that's all going to shit.
Yeah.
Speaking of everything else that goes to shit, Ollie, what's been new with you?
You've realized why the show is ending early. Things are a little chaotic in the Olliverse right now. To stay up to date, please join the Discord and follow me on Twitter where I update the Discord more frequently. I am working on multiple side projects. And this isn't even the big thing. This is a separate thing of undetermined size. So when I'm streaming, whether even D&D streams are on schedule, please check the Discord because I am the only term is hyperfixated. I'm in deep. I'm in deep. And hopefully, maybe in a few weeks on Patreon, there will be some more stuff to show about that. But I'm waiting for the right time. If everything goes to plan, there are more shows. If you haven't noticed, this is heavily linked to Jarviskjir Mother's Love. If you're a little bit like, what the hell is going on, you can either leave it all like that, and that is a totally fine way to do with that, or you can watch that show for a little bit more information. On Wednesdays, currently, we're doing Horn of Plenty, which is a game based around the idea of rebuilding a town from the ashes. Everything they're doing is, you know, they don't even care about gold. They need, like, wood and stone and resources and building. And it's always been one of my favorite things in D&D. And so we were like, hey, why don't we just, like, that's the framework for this show. We're doing that. And it's working out pretty well so far. And on Mondays, maybe soon, we're going to be starting the Jarviskjir high school game called Fallow Gem Academy. Long been hype. So that's available for patrons at $5 or more. This is when I say thanks to the patrons, so we're going to say bye. You're going to say that with thanking. That's it. See you next week.